Well, how's everybody? Well, I've got another question for you. Who do you think you are?
Child of God.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'll tell you who you are. You are God's.
That's right.
Jesus said, is it not written in your scriptures, ye are gods? We're told that we're made in the image and likeness of God, right? There's the rub. All religions have different definitions of God. The image of or likeness of God means, in the simplest terms, that we are made to resemble God. Okay, I don't know how simple that is. Scripture says that God is spirit and therefore exists without a body. Okay, but we got bodies. What's the deal? The metaphysical definition of God is that God is not a person but principle. And I like that because it moves us away from the idea of a person, a being somewhere. It's an idea, a principle. God as principle is love and absolute good in everything. My friend Phil Hosford, that I met when I lived over at Good Samaritan, he was a professor of chemistry at NMSU, and he used to call God EUF, EUEF, which stands for Eternal Ubiquitous Energy Field. I like that when you think about it, Eternal Ubiquitous Energy Field. That really takes it away from a person, Well, now here's the thing. We have access to that field of energy. So then the question is, well, how do we have access to it and what do we do with it? So, like God, we are creative, right? Anytime somebody invents a machine or makes a painting or writes a song or writes a poem or a book or thinks up some new way to do something, that's the creative energy working in them, right? If you like to go to the symphony, that's creative. That's your creative energy in yourself responding to the energy in the symphony. If you name a pet, that's creative, isn't it? My pet's favorite pet name is Jojo, and he's adorable, which is also part of my creative sense because I think he's adorable, and I tell him that all the time. And what's interesting is he keeps getting more adorable. But all of this is proclaiming that we are made in the image and likeness of God, in that we have access to the creative energy of the universe. And when I said you are God's, it's like with a little g, because I don't know, I guess G with a big G is like the creative energy, okay? Another way that we're like God is that we can love. And that creates a problem for me sometimes because I got to figure out what love means. Well, it's human kindness, compassion, affection, patience, generosity, all of the good things that we are able to share with each other. All of that together is love. Right? So, let me see. Ernest Holmes wrote, "I believe that love is at the center of everything. Therefore, I accept love as the healing power of life." So, yeah, it's like anytime you do anything that's loving and healing and kind, even if it's like watering your plants, right? That's love. As anytime we give of ourselves in some way, and we think, well, that's no big deal. I'll go out there and pour water on my plant. But it's a living thing, isn't it? So, we have written within us a divine presence that enlightens and guides the soul. New Thought calls it the Christ. Well, it's not a person. When you think of the Christ, we think of Jesus, right? But this thing within us is not a person. Again, it's a principle, an idea, a universal presence, the universal image of God that is present in all creation. Boy, sometimes this wording gets really tricky, Each human individual partakes of the Christ nature, okay, to the degree that he or she recognizes the cosmic Christ within and lives out of that revelation. Okay, trust me, I'm going somewhere with this. An aspect that is overlooked, however, is the idea of loving ourselves. And see, that's where it gets tricky. Because we can say, okay, I have the Christ within, and I have access to the energies of the universe. But what do you think of yourself? Who do you think you are? Any answers there? It's tricky, isn't it? Who do you really think you are? Well, the question then is, what is in your consciousness about yourself? What have you been telling yourself about yourself? Ernest Holmes wrote, "Never limit your view of life by any past experience." From childhood, we get all kinds of messages about who we think we are. From childhood, we get all kinds of thoughts about, well, what if I'm not good enough? Or what if I'm not smart enough? Or what if I'm not strong enough? What if there's something wrong with me? So where and how do we get these beliefs? Well, you know as well as I do where we get them. We get them from childhood on, from our families, from when we're little and little kids bully us and stuff. I think I've shared some of my story with y'all, but I was abandoned by my birth mother when I was 6 months old, and so my question eventually was, well, what's wrong with me? And that was my definition of the Christ within, something that had something wrong with it. You know what I'm talking about, And I had a beautiful childhood with a wonderful family, and that didn't change that core belief that there must have been something wrong with me. Yeah? Until I thought, finally, one day, wait a minute, But that was after studying with New Thought for a long time and realizing that the real belief I had about myself was in contradiction to this stuff that I was studying at New Thought. So, and you remember in school how things were? I remember my third grade teacher was a jerk. Excuse me. And he told me I was too dumb to understand math. Well, I'm not real good at math to this day. Because I believe, I guess he's right. I'm not real smart about it, And it's just little stuff like that we do. When we're little, we take it in. You know, we're just like my little dog. He wants to know everything all the time. And we're like that when we're little kids. We want to know everything. And when somebody tells us something, we think, well, that must be true. You know? You know what I'm saying? Nod your head if you do. Yeah. And of course, in society, that's where we get a whole lot of it. Nietzsche wrote, the individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. If you try it, you'll be lonely often, and sometimes frightened. But no price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself. And of course, all the things we're told in our society, how we look, what we should wear, how our hair should be, what things we should like, what people we should dislike, what we should read, what we shouldn't read, what kind of music we should like, what kind of music is not good, what kind of, you know what I'm saying? What our politics should be. Okay, I'll stop there on that one. What our religion should be. You get the idea. All of this eats at our self-esteem. And a lot of times, you know, we go for a long time without even realizing that. We're just like, oh, golly, my hair's not right. It looks, you know. Or do you think these shoes go with this outfit? Or I heard the most awful music the other day. You should have heard it. It was bouncing and singing. They were in this church, and they were singing, and the band was going, and, you know. Of all the judgments that we experience in life, none is more important than the judgment we pass on ourselves. It touches the very core of our existence. Some part of us knows this, and we know that more fateful by far than what others think of us is what we think of ourselves. What we tell ourselves about our self-esteem and what it actually is may be quite different. We can pretend like, oh, we're fine. I'm fine. I just feel really good. Everything is just fine. And we know it's not. Have you ever done that? Oh, everything's fine. Yeah, I'm good. And nothing is more common than to deny or avoid our fears and our self-doubts. See, because if we start thinking about those things we're scared of, you know, we get stuck in it. It gets worse and worse and worse. So I'm not going to think about that, especially with New Thought, you know, because New Thought said you should think positively, right? If I'm fully willing to confront my self-esteem problems, to face and accept reality on that level, I create the possibility of change and growth. If I deny my problems, I sentence myself to be stuck in the very pain I wish to escape. I don't wish to imply that if only we're willing to face our problems, solutions will always come. This is not easy. I'm not talking about easy things where we can do here. This is hard work, looking into the truth of our opinions about ourselves. And a lot of times we can't do this without professional help. I mean, to talk to a minister or a counselor or a best friend or somebody, I mean, this is rough stuff. To really get down in there and see what we really, honest to God, believe about ourselves. Nevertheless, it's safe to say that the way we respond to discomforting realities reveals a great deal about our deepest vision of who we are, how insecure or secure we feel. Our avoidance of confronting our deepest beliefs about ourselves reveals the fear and pain associated with those experiences. The way a child interprets childhood experiences tends to lay the foundation for the level of self-esteem that will emerge later in life. I don't think that we give ourselves or other people credit enough for recognizing how vulnerable a child is to what he or she is told. Adults who give a child a rational, loving atmosphere, who support the child and encourage the child and reassure the child, that child's going to grow up pretty balanced and pretty happy. That's pretty simple. But adults who deal with the child in the opposite way, with abuse and mistreatment and scorn and reviling the child and saying, "Get out of the way, kid." In psychotherapy, work with self-esteem may have to begin with healing childhood psychic wounds. And I don't believe there's anybody in this room right here today who does not have some kind of wound, some kind of sneaky little suspicion about themselves that they're struggling with. And if we look at it deeply enough, we can go back to where it started, what caused it. Self-esteem is built over time by the practice of, self-esteem, all right, you with me here, is built by choosing consciousness rather than unconsciousness, by being awake. Well, like, do you remember when you were a kid and you skinned your knee? If you just left it alone, it was fine. But if you picked at it and worked at it and everything, it was worse and it hurt more, We're like that. We don't want to mess with it. And we're like that with our inner childhood traumas, too. We don't want to mess with it. That was them, And New Thought tells us that that's the past. But it's not the past as long as it's alive in us now. And that's I think that's really a powerful idea. It's not the past if it's still eating at us and motivating us now. I don't care what it is. You can go to a New Thought church and sing songs and everything all you want. But if that inner thing in you is saying, "You're worthless, you're so dumb, when are you ever going to get it? Why are you so," whatever it is, You know what I'm saying? So, Well, psychotherapy is going to have to, or psychology or just self-examination, is going to have to look at the psychic wounds, break destructive patterns of behavior, dissolving blocks or neutralizing anxiety. Okay, so being awake, right? Self-acceptance rather than self-disowning. Now this is tricky, see? How do you accept yourself and your flaws, which may really be flaws, Are flaws in your character or lack of understanding of something, are those the definitions of the essence of who you are, I have a friend that took Spanish classes with me. Well, I speak Spanish, I have all my life, so it's no big deal, Well, she just couldn't get it. And she finally quit because she said she was too dumb to learn Spanish. And we do that to ourselves all the time. Oh, I couldn't learn how to ice skate, I'm too old. Or get up in front of a bunch of people and talk? Why would they want to hear me? You know what I'm saying? This morning I woke up and I thought, oh my God, I got to talk today at church. It was like, what if I don't give a good talk? Well, what you think of me is none of my business. I'm going to just do the talk, right? But see, that ability to say that comes from years and years and years of personal growth. That didn't come easy for me to say, I don't care what you think about me. And there are parts of me, of course I care about what you think about me. I want everybody to love me. But there's that difference, So self-acceptance, self-responsibility. In other words, we could go on for a long time just like pretending like nothing's wrong, and we could drink too much or take drugs or, lie on the couch and watch TV for hours like Catherine and I did yesterday. We watched 4 hours of Blue Bloods. But that was... But it's because I think Tom Selleck's so handsome. Anyway, we've got being awake, self-acceptance, self-responsibility. In other words, taking responsibility for what we're doing, looking at it, being passive and going, oh, well, it doesn't matter, or blaming somebody else. Well, if you would just let me do what I want to, purposefulness rather than drifting. And this is an important one that I don't think we talk about a lot. Why are you here? What is your purpose? And the last couple of years, after I moved from Good Samaritan over to Trails West, I was there in my little house, and I was like, oh, what am I doing? What am I here for? What's my purpose? And so I think it's real helpful to think about, what is my purpose here? Well, if I'm just this dumb doomcough, maybe, it doesn't matter. But if you start thinking about, well, I'm here for a reason. What's your reason? What's your purpose for being here? I decided that right now, at least, my purpose for being here is to be with people. Because I realized when I moved and was there by myself in my little house, everybody has times when they feel really lonely, So I want to be here with people. I want to be with people. I don't know if that's going to change in the future or not, but right now, that's what I feel. And that makes me feel good about myself, that at least I can do that, And then there's the issue of integrity and self-betrayal. I'm not going to give out the whole thing, but I saw a movie called The Wife, and the wife in the story compromised her integrity and her self-respect and everything to please her husband. And boy, she sold her soul. And we do that. We sell our souls for someone else's love or approval or whatever. So here we are talking about all this stuff, and all this sounds fine. But the secret to mastering anything is what? There you go. Yeah. We got to practice this stuff every day. And, hi, darling. And that means that if you fall flat on your face this afternoon and you wind up just kicking yourself, what do? You go, wait a minute. That's not who I am. That's not who I am. I am a God. I am a child of the universe. I am so powerful, I have access to the creative energy of the universe. Think about that. You can take the energy that's in the universe, all the creative stuff in the whole universe, and you can access it and say what you want. And those energies respond, and it comes to you. Is that pie in the sky stuff, Pollyanna thinking. What do you think? It sounds like it at first when you first get exposed to this stuff. And the thing about it is, this kind of practice, you don't do it just when you feel like it, right? Every day, all the time, no matter what. No matter what. So somebody died, what are you going to do? Somebody in your family is sick. You look at your bank balance and it's zero. What are you going to do? You know? Well, we got choices. We can blame ourselves for being so dumb, or we can say, okay, let's see, how can I fix this? See, the thing about it is, we're born with this stuff, this ability, and I can't answer the question of why we get distracted and separated from it. I don't know, unless, I don't know why I came here. Do you? Do you think you've had other lives? I don't know. What are we here for? See, that's the big question. What are we here for anyway? Well, we must be here for a reason, because we're here. And here you are in the body that you're in, and you're here in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Well, is there something wrong with you that you shouldn't be here? Hello? But sometimes we feel that way, don't we? Yeah. So some of us have such incredible wounds, it's hard to face up to them. But seeing them clearly, we can realize that they can be overcome. If we see them, they cannot be hidden any longer. You bring anything out into the light, and it can't hide anymore. Once you see something, you've seen it. It's there, and it can't ever hide again. Loving yourself involves letting go of guilt, shame, fear, anger. For a lot of us, this is the hardest part, just wanting to be happy and having to face the pain and scars and fears of the past. And they can tell us the past is past, but if it's not, it's not. If it's still in your consciousness and it still makes you feel bad and makes you scared, it's not in the past. We don't have to and really shouldn't do it alone. And that's a key thing I want to share today, is that we're not in this alone. And there must be a reason for that too, but that's another talk, I think, Okay, so what's another step in all of this is, what have we learned from our past experiences? Whew, boy. What has your past taught you? By seeing the falsehoods about ourselves we carried with us, we're able to see the truth about others as well as ourselves. When we realize and let go of our negative beliefs about ourselves, we can see other people in a different way. We can realize that everyone has fears and hatreds about themselves, and that can stir a compassion in us that we didn't have before. That compassion can help us see everyone else as someone in the family who needs love and kindness. Past experiences also teach us where we lost track of ourselves and sacrificed it for someone else's love or approval or acceptance or money or social status or whatever it is that we sacrifice ourselves for. We can give up a lot for those things. And when we look back on our past, we can see that that's what we did. That's what they say that's what they mean when they say, sell your soul to the devil. The devil's the big imposter, the one that tells you if you do this, you'll be happy, they'll love you, it'll be great. You know what I'm saying. The hard part of all of this is letting go of it. So how do you let go? Well, I guess it depends on how sick of it you are. How much longer do we want to feel so awful about ourselves? We're told that we are gods. And what? You ever had that feeling? It doesn't make any sense. Well, what does all this say about the idea that we are gods? About the last great shift in our understanding of the universe took place 4 centuries ago when we learned that we lived on a planet orbiting a star. Now we're faced with what seems like an impossibly difficult change in understanding. But now we know that our star is one of many trillions and trillions, that we are part of a universe that so far nobody's seen the end of. Maybe, well, I can't even. Just imagine if you can with me, being out there in space, right? Can you see the end of space out there? Can you see yourself out there? So you're out there going, Each one of us is an infinitesimal piece, a particle of the universe. Now, here's the secret, okay, my friends? There will never be another you. You're it right now. I don't know if you come back in other forms and everything. It's kind of a neat idea. I kind of hope it's true about reincarnation. It gives me another chance, But nevertheless, here you are in this body, in this personality, in this place, at this time, and you will never be here again. We're just a speck of dust. When you look at maps of the universe and stuff, they show like the Earth there, and it's like, well, it's so teeny, you can't even see it. It's impossible for us to really conceive of how big the universe is. And we're supposed to think we're somehow like so important we're flawed. What's the point, right? I have a friend who used to complain about herself so bad. I finally told her, that's pretty egotistical to think that of all the people that have ever lived, you're the worst. Nevertheless, you have the ability within you to use the creative energies of the universe to create your reality. And all you have to do is think about it. Namaste.